What's going on, everybody? This is Childish. We're back at it again with the next unit and rune showcase for April. You guys know what it is. Every month after our rune removal, I go ahead and take the opportunity to showcase you guys my units and runes that I use on my regular teams for dungeons, rifting, PvP, and whatnot. So you can kind of see what I do, and we can talk about my theories and thoughts based behind my intentions as far as what I plan to do. Unfortunately, this was not my best rune removal. I was working 12 hours, busy day, and then before in the beginning of the morning and the afternoon, evening. Unfortunately, Roman was being a little fussy, so we had to go back and forth between mommy and daddy. So I didn't get an opportunity to really sit back and do what I got to do because I had to wake up, at 4:30 the next morning. That being said, I did make a couple of changes. I looked at my list of things that I wanted to change. Um, with respect to the free removal, and then of course as I make more money within the dungeons, I'll make the other necessary changes. But first and foremost, we'll kind of go through the units and the runes, just left to right, top to bottom, whatever. But just to kind of talk to you about my number, I'll tell you about basically my two main goals. My two main goals was to one, improve the speed at which I can clear giants, dragons, Rift of Worlds, and then improve my success rate of my offensive teams in the PvP aspect, arena guild wars. So the cool thing about my situation is that when I took a look at my units, my runes, I knew that I can basically I can make one change on a unit that allowed me to basically do everything that I wanted to as far as my number one goal. And that was improve the runes of Stella. Now, if you guys remember, Stella was set up for rifting and rifting only. She was rocking literally 24k attack. Sorry, 20, fail, 24k hit points. Not that she needed it, but it was just substats. It was crazy substats. 24k hit points. Um, we had about 2k, 2100 attack, and then we had about 61 crit rate with about more or less the same speed, maybe minus 10 speed or whatnot. And so she, with speed attack is what she rocked, but with the two attack runes that she had on, she had almost 45 to 50% HP, substats. So she was getting tons of HP substats. I didn't have to do an HP rune, which is obviously what your goal is. You're trying to always get as much attack power as you can, without having to sacrifice one of those main slots for some other stat that you're looking for in your substats. And I was fortunate enough to mix and match some runes so I can get still a decent amount of attack power on my unit, but rocking the crit damage on it. So believe it or not, guys, I tried to play around with the crit damage Stella early on, but the drop of the attack power and the increase of critical damage did not add up in my favor. If I were to take one of my attack runes off, I would lose almost 500 attack. But then I would gain, the 80 crit damage, but all my runes that I had, I did not have any attack power subset on that rune, so I couldn't make up for it. So what was happening is that I was doing more or less the same damage or critical damage because the critical damage was high, with respect to the amount of attack power that I had, but because my critical rate was not extremely high, then the variance of the damage that I do when I crit versus when I don't crit didn't add up to what I wanted it to be. So now I was able to, get the critical damage that I had and improve my critical rate by 10%, and drop my instead of dropping my attack power by 500, I was only able to drop it by 300 or something like that. And I'm now doing more damage, over time with this particular setup. So again, you guys know what it is. Stella had the recent change in the branding, so you can see the value in trying to incorporate Stella in the various aspects of the game, not just Rift of Worlds we've talked about in Rift of Worlds, but it is an amazing unit for dragons and giants if you have the right comp. So that was the number one goal. Let's go ahead and look at these Lucians here. No big changes. Rocking the attack, crit damage attack. Again, guys, I get it every time we get somebody mention it. What's the whole deal with the Vampire Lucian? It's all about the runes and the units. If I had a broken set of, a blade, will, focus that gave me these same stats, and I'd put those runes on there. But it just so happens that these vampire runes give me the stats, the speeds, the crit rate, and the crit damage that I want. So that's where we're at. Galleon, no big changes. Maybe a couple of runes. I know this rune was a new rune just recently, but the goal basically is to make sure I'm, getting getting some decent amount of damage, but I need to be fast. I need to be accurate, and so that's why I have, I'm rocking the violent focus as I'm doing right there. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Charlotte was a small change, but I mean, I don't remember in the last video if I was doing the despair energy. I just so happened to get a couple of random critical rate runes and critical damage runes over the course of my time. This was actually an old Tyron rune, and the goal was to get, with the recent change on Charlotte, now try to incorporate her in the PvPs. Like I said, my number two goal was to improve my success rate as far as PvP goes. And as I've stated before, on the arena side, my Devolution combo is my number one team that I use. So now I've been using a couple of different combinations, but basically now taking out Megan, and then adding in we got ourselves adding in what's her face Charlotte. But in addition to that, I've been mixing and matching whether I'm taking out Megan or I'm running Charlotte lead with Megan in there, a multitude of things. But overall, the goal is to play around with three different units, two of which are Rune Despair. So if the opponent does not have will, I'm going to capitalize on the attack bar reduction and make sure that the Vermoses, the Prahas, don't cut in between me. I generally don't see it unless they're running like a 220, speed, Praha or whatnot on that Nemesis or double Nemesis, whatever. But it's kind of cool because again, I when I got Charlotte, I was excited to use her, but I was still kind of playing around with her. wasn't really making her a focus. And now with the recent change with the attack bar manipulation, I really do feel that she can fit in my team, and so you guys will see it more often than not. Rogue, he's just a part of my Necro team. No big changes there. Speed, attack. Got a max of that room, but not too important. Megan, Violent Will. Got to make sure that I have a way of countering Leos in the arena and the Guild Wars. We've had a multitude of people that have recommended to go Swift Will, but it's just kind of one of those things. When I use this particular comp, I do find myself more often than not really taking advantage of the violent procs just over time. Generally speaking, I feel like the Swift Will is the way to go because what you're trying to do is take them out in one shot. But depending on where I'm at, especially in the Guild Wars where I don't have the ability to bring duplicates, I do find myself running into the thing where I'm killing, 2 out of 3 units, but maybe the one unit is kind of giving me a pain, and it's the violent procs from Megan that are reducing her cooldowns, getting the attack and defense buff up so I can do multitude of things. It's working out pretty darn nice. But at the end of the day, when I improve my Giants my Giants runes, because I need more Swift runes to get some decent speed. If I can put her at like 250 speed, then that's going to allow me to take advantage of, instead of like Bernard, Megan, Lucian, I can use Charlotte, Megan, and Lucian, which I do now, but I do it. I'm kind of a little sketchy about using it because of the fact that I don't know if my Megan is going to have enough speed or whatnot. But overall, I'm going to be playing around with that in the future. Again, a lot of things you'll hear me talk about, but it's not. I mean, unfortunately it's not going to be. I can't make the changes that I want because I just didn't have the time. Jameer, I went through really quick. I use him for the R5 when I need to. Speed, hit point, defense. It just so happens that I had some guard runes that allow me to get the stats that I want and still allow me to sacrifice a hit points or defense on the 2 slots so I can go with speed. Obviously, the more turns I get over time, the more opportunities I have to reset my speedy supporters, my cleansers, so I can get the opportunity to heal up and do what I got to do. Attack power break is obviously nice as well. Hua, no changes on her. Violent blade, speed, crit damage, attack, pretty standard. Trying to get her hit points above 20k. Trying to get her defense, just basically as high as possible. I'm happy with 800, almost 900 defense, but I'm always looking to improve. Arya, no big changes, guys. I don't use her anymore for the time being. I really need some skill ups to take advantage of her, and I really have not pulled any free succubuses, and I don't have the patience to level up. The fire succubuses from the fusion. Kaz is just a unit for the world boss. Nothing exciting there. Attack, crit damage, attack. Clara, same thing for the world boss, so I won't showcase that. Bella, no changes. Violent Nemesis, speed, hit point, Most people like to get the accuracy where they can on the substats, so they don't have to sacrifice a rune over here for accuracy. I've gone back and forth between Violent Nemesis and Violent Revenge. I prefer the Violent Nemesis if you're using it on your defense, and I do use this unit on my Guild Wars defense. That being said, if you're more of an offensive kind of guy, I do find that having the Violent Revenge is kind of nice, having those extra defense breaks so you can get the job done. But overall, I'm a big fan of the Nemesis set. Delphoy, basically my unit to my cleanser in my R5 team. It's a temporary unit. It's been there for quite some time, but the goal is to obviously 6-star Kona and get her in the back line somewhere and figure out a way to bring up a different unit so that I can how do I say this? So I can take away the extra buffs that I'm getting from the immunity. Chasun, no changes, a few grinds. I think I was speed HP when I was the last video. If not, then that's new to you guys. 200 speed, 33k hit points. I'm happy with it. I definitely, if I can figure out a way to get some defense substats, then that'll kind of help because I wouldn't mind running testing her out on the front line. If I get her on the front line, I can take away my Delphoy for my cleanser on the front line, and I can put Kona in the back. But I feel like I need a little bit more defense. Or if I'm in there, I'm gonna have to run. I'm gonna have to be running with the defense lead. But nevertheless, Kona's not ready. He's not 6-star, so it's a long thing. So to come. Despair Revenge on Brienne, just a TOA unit for me. I play around with him in the arena from time to time. Troll AO comps that allow me to auto people. It's kind of nice, fun. I did a Vanessa Veramos Brienne Bella composition for quite some time, and that was like my one unit that I generally did, early on to just clear my wings if I needed to, and I can't focus on doing it manually. But overall, I got to max out the new rune that I got. But yeah, I'm happy with the stats: 60 resistance, good accuracy, so overall really good. Rigel, you guys have seen him many times in a unit showcase and the Necro runs. No big changes to him. Attack, crit damage, attack. I just improved the units via the grindstones. Chandra, he is one of my projects, but unfortunately didn't get an opportunity to use him. Triple HP, you guys have seen it in a recent Guild Wars video. Still doing relatively good damage on the third skill, around that 17k damage, and then the first skill 12k. Obviously, depends on the unit's defense, but those are the stats when the defense unit is broken and I'm critting on him. Let's see. Sigmaris is just a secret dungeon sweeper. I use him to do my speed clears when I'm doing secret dungeons. I do not use him for anything else. He he actually had some decent runes, but they gradually just get stripped away and get replaced by some random thing for the world boss in the secret dungeons. But overall, I just don't have any big use for him anymore. Unfortunately, it was a fun unit early on when I got him. I actually summoned him. I didn't fuse him. Like I say before, I don't have the patience to fuse him, but he was a fun unit. Vermos, Violent Guard, Speed, hit point, just good defense substats across the board to get me that 1700 defense. I've gone back and forth with many of people. I'm a big fan of Violent Nemesis, especially if you're using this, on your defensive side. We all know how strong it is. But for me, it just so happened that the substats that I want gave me the speed that I want. If I were to go Violent Nemesis, I'm looking at a 190 Vermos, and I'm looking at basically 70% less, or sorry, 50% less defense. I would be sitting at like plus 300 defense. So the fact that I'm faster means the fact I'm gonna get that cleanse quicker, and when I get that cleanse off, when I get that defense break off, my defense is gonna be back to the high normal, and so that's what I'm down for. But obviously, if I could magically hit a special I win button to turn these into Nemesis runes with the same substats, then I do it. But for me, this has caught a lot of people off guard in the Guild Wars, and so that's why I continuously run a speedier Vermos with a lot of defense. So Spectra, a couple of changes on the runes, just doing what I got to do to keep that 100% critical rate and then critical damage. He was on the list, as I said before, trying to improve the speed of my clears. The number one change for that was Stella, but this was going to be the number two, trying to get him to a critical, having a high critical rate, but having some critical damage. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that while maintaining 100% accuracy. I know a lot of people play around with the amount of accuracy, but I get tired of seeing failed runs due to Spectra not being able to land that buff. And then of course if he doesn't land that buff, I have the violence. I have the violence set in there so I can reduce the cooldowns and get it back. Go on 3 turns is not too shabby if I do miss it. But overall, I'd rather have 100% critical rate to do 20k damage versus like a 70% critical rate to do 25k damage, but then have like only 50 to 60 accuracy. Like I don't want to drop half of my accuracy just to have a little bit more damage. The only reason why I can get all those turns to be able to do all the damage that I do is when I land that third skill. And so to me, 100% accuracy is extremely important. Some people say you don't need that much. For me, that's just the way it goes. A project for me kind of this month is to kind of get back into Giants B10. I've really gotten lazy when it comes to my Bernard. That being said, I would love to improve it. I just haven't been doing Giants. I haven't been trying to get better runes on them. I have one, sorry, two, so 1 and 2 here that can really use some plus 25 speed runes so I can improve it. That being said, 276 speed is not to whine about. It is you guys have heard me talk in the arena. I generally face roll myself into random teams that I shouldn't be doing, but 276 Bernard for me gets the job done with a multitude of the Conqueror 3, Guardian 1, and even some Guardian 2 teams that are not running at like a speeder lead. So it's doing good for me. I mean, obviously when I get into Guardian 3, I stay at it. I do not go crazy with my devolutions unless they're running some silly comp. But now that if they're running the silly comp, generally it's something that is bringing that nemesis to it. And so now with the incorporation of Charlotte, as you can see, Charlotte is at that 200 plus speed. I think it's just under 75, 76%, pretty darn close. But it's close to the point where I need to improve it a little bit. But obviously it's an ultimate goal of mine. And if I'm finding these teams that don't have the will, then I can do it. But let's be honest, the people that I'm going up against in the Guardian 2, and if I get fortunate enough to midweek to hit Guardian 3, they're all running some kind of will, and if they're not running will, they're running a lot of nemesis. So I mean, I just gotta keep on working on my combinations of units. I said it before. We already took a look at Tyron. Speed, crit damage, attack was part of a YOLO based team that I used for my troll AD, and that was fun. Let's see, Draco. Not really using it anymore. Every once in a while, you'll see me use it if I lose Veramos and the Guild Wars, but overall, not too good at stats. I had to take off some runes. He had 210, 215 speed, but I had to put some runes on some different people. Orion, no big changes. Speed, defense, hit points, speed. Whether it's defense or hit points, to me, it really doesn't matter as long as you make him as fast as possible. Wide broken versus will. I understand the concept of the will and I want to use it. You'll see on all my units that there's rarely, I mean, there's hardly any will, if not none at all. I think Megan and maybe another unit I have is Rune Will. The reason being is because I just don't have the combination of will runes with the stats that I need to get the speed, whatever primary stats that I want. So for me, the units that could possibly use will, like my second Lucian, some of my units on my Guild Wars defense and whatnot. If I put the will on, I'm losing a crazy amount of stats, and so I mean, like, and sure, I can, you can make an argument for a couple of speed or whatnot, but we're talking speed, critical rate, I mean, everything gets crippled. I'm not fortunate enough to pull really good rolls on the will substat. So fail, epic fail. Let's see here. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was big. We do have a couple other new units to discuss, but hopefully, for those of you guys that have been, kind of keeping in tune with this particular series of videos, if you have any questions, always feel free to put a message down below. I'm always looking forward to hearing your guys' progression as far as what you got for your units and whatnot. So I appreciate your support, and then make sure you put it in the comment section down below so I can answer it back. Let's see. Come on, click the button. Boop. Here we go. We are almost done. Whoop, fail. We got ourselves Chilling, part of the Necro team, Violent Revenge, Speed, Attack. I stated before, I would like to get the critical damage on here, but again, my critical rate is not as high as I want to. Even with the buff that I'll get, it's still not high to be worth using. Shiwa, kind of broken for a world boss. Chloe, not too fast. Swift Will, I can make her faster, but I would take off the will. I don't really use her a lot. Basically, it's just Rune. I ain't gonna lie, it's just Rune. I'll be doing a showcase coming up here on Diaz. I did recently 6-star Diaz. I make him up defense, hit points, double revenge. Just using him for rifting only. Verdehile. Yeah, this is a unique change right up in there with Stella and whatnot. Kind of went back and forth with Caranther a little bit on Verdehile and whatnot. I'm addicted, so I'm kind of stubborn, stupid like that. I'm addicted to speedy, violent revenge Verdehiles. Don't ask me why. I just am. But my ultimate goal was to get him to like a crit damage kind of Verdehile, but still maintain the violent because I'm stupid like that. I just want it to be fast and do a certain amount of damage, right? And so as I stated before in the last video, I was going to put a despair set on this particular unit. Like a despair revenge kind of combination with a critical damage. As you might have guessed, I'm using the majority of those runes on Charlotte, so I can't get it done. The reason being was my critical rate was not where I wanted to be. I had another room to switch out for this one to get a little bit more critical rate, but it's still like 92%. So for me, I don't know. When you use a unit that is you're trying to make them for damage, but you want to. The more you get into this game, you realize how important critical rate is. If I can have all my units up to the critical rate, 100, that's what I would do. But I will. I right now there's more value in me keeping my runes on Charlotte for other aspects of the game, and then doing what I'm doing with Verdehile. Verdehile goes after my Galleon before Galleon goes before him. So now there's a little bit less wasted attack bar. But I ain't gonna lie, I played around with both setups, and I'm seeing just right now I haven't really seen too much of a difference with regards if I'm wasting attack bar, if I'm doing Verdehile behind Galleon or in front. It makes sense to do it, but that's just how it is. That's how it is. Kumar, he's no big change at all, guys. He's still HP, crit damage, HP. These are Chandra runes, as you know. I made the choice when I got Kumar to switch off the runes because Kumar's kit's better. Last but not least, the latest and greatest unit that I've gotten in the recent summons is a Sheer. I'm actually excited for this particular one. Again, we're talking about that critical rate aspect. Unfortunately, he has some really good stats, but I'm forced to use him with Theomars. So I'm doing like a Theomars Orion, a Sheer kind of combination right now. And so people would be like, "Oh, you're not rocking like an HP lead. That sucks on that." But again, guys, if anybody uses a Sheer, there's way more value in having 100% critical rate with 40k HP that I have versus having 76% critical rate with 45 KHP. Sure I can do a little bit more damage, but if I miss one crit, that one crit that I miss off those 4 attacks on that third skill drastically reduces the damage that I do, which does not yield me more damage over time when I compare critical rate to HP. So I will be using this with Theomars if I can. If I'm not, I'm not going to use it unless I'm fighting a team that it's some kind of like a Theomars team that my goal is to take out a squishier unit where I'm not relying on doing too much damage. But the generally speaking, when I'm using a sheer in the teams that I bring, I want to get myself in a position to do 30k plus damage, and he's hitting from 8 to 9k depending on the unit's defense. Sorry, 7 to 9k depending on the unit's defense. The very very high defense units are going to be like 6 to 7k, but the majority of the people that I'm fighting are 8 to 8.5k, or so 9k or something like that. So that's pretty much it, guys. Sorry for doing this crazy long video, but again, I'm just trying to go over the units that I have. You kind of see I don't have too many units in the back end now that they've changed the being able to use the units in the storage area. Now I don't have too much clutter, but overall, no big changes at all. You see me, I'm leveling up some sylphs here. I know it kind of sounds silly, but I think I'm actually going to go ahead if I have it out. I don't even know if I have it out. I don't even have it out right now, but my what's it called? Beretta. Beretta is going to be 6-starred I wasn't. It's kind of weird. So I've cleared TOA and TOA H with a 5-star Beretta. But I mean, it just seems like, even though it might seem like a waste of a 6-star evolution, it is not a waste to, use these extra skill ups that I've been getting when I've been summoning, so I can reduce the cooldown time on the Turbulence and the Phoenix's Fury. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done with some of these skill ups that I've been getting. But overall, that was the last unit that I changed. Just a recent change on some of the HP, some of the runes that I took off of Draco to make this unit faster. Since I found that it's been a little bit more value in some of the TOA 100 bosses, depending on what composition I'm using, to have a speedier Beretta in the setup that I'm using. So overall, I'm happy with Beretta. I mean, I'll 6-star it eventually, but it's not a big. I'm not like, oh my god, stop everything to get Beretta level up, because again, I've been able to clear everything with a 5-star Beretta. So when I get all the skill ups that I need, then I'll go ahead and level them up to 5-star, make her 6-star. But that is definitely it, guys. Nothing else to add. If you have any questions on my setups, just let me know, and then I can kind of pitch your way. I'm sure some of you guys might have similar setups and whatnot. As far as any questions with regards to your account and what you can do to improve, just know, guys, that it's hard for me to keep track of everybody if they send me messages in the game or if they see me in the chat or whatnot. So that your best bet is to, if you can't leave a comment down below, I personally would recommend sending me a private message on Facebook, because I can check that on a regular basis. And for whatever reason, if it somehow happens that it goes, a day or two or whatever, there's something that happened within my personal life, and so I'm a little backed up on something. But generally speaking, things should get answered within 24 to 48 hours. If something else was to happen, then I'll let you know at that time. But overall, that is it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in for the unit and rune showcase. Again, if you have any questions, put it in the comment section down below. I will see you guys in the next video. It's your boy ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we'll see you next time, guys.